Salutations and welcome to Next Level Wellness. I'm Crystal Harris, and I'm delighted to have you guys here. This week is all about time. So let's get started. Week one, what is your time worth? Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a loaded question. Because we all think that our time is worth a whole lot. And you may even think that we treat our time as if it's worth a whole lot. And what we want to do today is really just kind of delve deeper into that. Now, at this point, all of you should have decided on a goal for the month. And you should have had a goal setting call with me. If you haven't done that yet, then please do that as soon as possible. Because what I want you to do is to think about your goal and the plans for your goal as we're going through the session today. So, what brings you in? Now, I said this a lot as a physician all day long as patients came in. And each patient had a particular goal, something that they wanted to accomplish with the visit. Now, as their physician, I too had a particular goal, and sometimes it matched up, and sometimes it didn't match with what the patient wanted. But as a coach, my intention is for you to fulfill your intention. And that means that when you set your goal, what I do as a coach is to help you to achieve that goal. And so, I ask again, what brings you in? What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you want to focus on to get done sooner rather than later? Now, when we all met in person at our last meeting, we talked about the 7 levels of awareness. And we talked about how the first few levels of awareness, those first 3 levels, animal, mass, and aspiration, as you see here, those levels aren't getting much done. Not much in the area of productive things done. And even at level 3, which is aspiration, these folks have desire without action, meaning that they see possibilities and they may want something more, but they don't actually put any action behind that desire. Now, this isn't you guys. You guys are at least a level 4 or above. And that's because you've already stepped out and decided that not only do you want more, but you can see yourself doing more and you're ready for more. And so you're putting action behind your words. You're putting action behind your desire. And so that's what happens in level 4. Level 4 is when you step away from the crowd and you are ready to do what it takes to get the things that you want. At level 4, you're also at the point where you not only believe that you can do it, you believe that you deserve it. And so level 4 is about deservability as well as belief in your abilities. Okay? And all of you are at least a level 4, so congrats on that. Just from the fact that you are doing a program like this, and you're pushing yourself towards your goals, and so that is excellent. Now, with the law of vibration, and there are these 7 universal laws, and the law of vibration is one of them. And what the law of vibration says is what you desire is moving towards you at the same rate that you're moving towards it. So as you have decided on a goal and you're moving towards that goal, doing things that will take you closer to that goal, it's almost like a magnetism where you then put that goal in motion towards you. And the faster you move, the more you do to get towards that goal, the faster it is moving towards you. Now, because of the law of gestation, which is another one of the 7 laws, we don't know the exact time that it will happen, but we do know that it will happen because of belief and persistence. And one of the goals of this month is to help you to build persistence. And persistence is just continued focus on your goal, continuing to do something at spaced intervals towards your goal. And through our coaching calls and through our group lessons, you're beginning to build that persistence that will create discipline. And discipline is the 5th level of awareness. And it's about giving yourself a command or deciding on something that you want to do and you actually fulfill it. And so give yourself a command and you actually keep it. You actually keep to that command. And so we want to live in level 4 or above. But what's the point of having awareness, right? What's the point of this increased awareness? And that is because when we know better, we can do better. And I know what you're thinking. When we know better, usually the next part is we do better. But that's not true. We don't always do better when we know better. Remember, we already talked about level 3? Man, and we have talked about how you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not applying that knowledge, you're not doing anything. And so it's about the application of knowledge. And so it's not a given that just because we know better, that we will do better. All right. And so having that increased awareness is about moving up in those levels of awareness such that we build the discipline. We continue in our persistence towards our goal, and we learn. And as we learn, we act on that information. And so today, I want to give you some actionable information related to managing your time. And so when I work with patients, one of the things that's really important was asking the right types of questions. And in coaching, it works the same way. Coaching is all about the questions, asking the right questions. And so I have some questions for you. Do you feel like you have enough time to do the things you really want? And I'm talking about the things that you need to do, such as you need to work and make a certain amount of money so you can pay your bills, or you need to change your baby's diaper, or you need to or you need to get dinner ready for the family so everyone can eat. Those are needs, all right? I'm talking about things that you want. Do you feel like you have enough time to do the things that you want? And maybe the things that you want include more self-care. And when I say self-care, that means just doing things that you enjoy that help to fulfill you, help to replenish you. Do you feel like you have enough time to do that? Do you feel like you have enough time to step out and reach for that next level, which is what this whole course is about, next level wellness? And I wanted to use wellness because wellness encompasses a number of different things. Wellness is all about the state of good health. And that could be good physical health, good mental health, good career health, good relationship health. And so do you feel like you have enough time to do the things you really want in building your wellness. And so just think about that. And maybe you feel like you have enough time, but you haven't begun yet. Not really. You kind of stick your toe in the water and then kind of shy back from the edge. So what needs to happen before you can begin? Like, what are some things that you've set up in your mind that need to occur in order for you to really take the plunge? Do you feel like you need to lose weight? Maybe you feel like you need to have the perfect plan. Or maybe it's that you feel like you need to get more money. You need to have more money readily available before you can really kind of jump out there and do the next thing, the next big adventure in your life. And if you're waiting for this thing to happen before you can actually step out and take a chance, before you can step out and really invest in yourself, then do you truly value your time? So let's take a look. Let's go a little further into valuing your time. So this is Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants, and I know what you're thinking. That's a lot on the page. That is a lot on that particular slide. But don't worry, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to go through it very simply. I'm going to make it very, very plain and very clear. Okay. So one of the things that we said is when we know better, we do better, right? But truly, when we know better, it just means that we can, or we have the ability to do better. And so what Covey's 4 quadrants are about, it is how to manage your time better when you understand which one of these quadrants your tasks and activities fall in. All right. And so let's talk about this. So let's talk about it. On our y-axis, or on our vertical here, is our level of importance. So the level of importance of a particular activity. All right. And so we have important and not important. And then on our x-axis, or the horizontal, we have the level of urgency. So it's either urgent or it's not urgent. And then we have our quadrants associated with each one. And so we've got our quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. And quadrant 1 is important and urgent. Quadrant 2 is not urgent, but important. So it's still on that same line. Quadrant 3 are going to be things that are urgent, but not important to you. And then quadrant 4 are going to be things that are not important and not urgent. All right. So let's talk about each quadrant. Let's begin with quadrant 1. All right. So quadrant 1 will be things that are important to you and urgent. Now, quadrant 1 is a kind of quadrant of emergency. And so the activities in quadrant 1 are going to be things that are crises, things that are deadlines. So you got to get it done absolutely right now. It's really important that you get it done. And so it's quadrant 1. They're also going to include things like disasters. So something has been turned upside down in your life and you've got to handle it absolutely right now. It's very important. Okay. And so these are things that are a necessity. Now, some people live in quadrant 1, meaning their lives are like hair on fire situations. Right. And what I would say from a medical standpoint is these people, their nervous systems, and specifically their autonomic nervous systems, are on full tilt. That sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system is full on. This is fight or flight. They are constantly in high stress, and they've got high cortisol, high adrenaline. They are, and those are the stress hormones, if you're wondering. And these folks are totally stressed out, burned out, or reaching the point of burnout. They're constantly in crisis management mode, and they're always putting out fires. Okay. This is quadrant 1. Okay. You do not want to live in quadrant 1. This is where you can get high amounts of anxiety and high likelihood for burnout. Okay, because you can't go full tilt all the time. All right, so that's quadrant 1. Like, start to think about some of your activities that are your quadrant 1 activities. Okay. Next, I'm gonna go to quadrant 3. So quadrant 3 is down here, and these are gonna be things that are urgent, but not important to you. Okay, so they're things that you feel like need to get done now, but you don't really care about them all that much. All right. Quadrant 3 are things that fall into your lap that usually interrupt the things that you really want to do. All right. So this is when you're trying to be productive, you're getting work done, and someone calls you and they tell you something that they feel should be the most important thing to you to do right now, and you need to do it immediately. Okay, these are the emails that come from your coworkers that end with ASAP. These are the meetings that have to be done right now, the calls that have to be done right now, but you don't consider them important. You know it's not truly a necessity, but other people are putting that urgency on you. And this could be family members, these could be coworkers, this could be your clients. Yes, clients can be really good for this, right? Where they call, and these are the hair on fire folks, where it's not an emergency, but it's urgent to them. Right? Sometimes these could be things that appear important, but deep down you kind of know they're not. And so when you're living in quadrant 3, what ends up happening is you get this short-term focus. And another term for that will be you become a multitasking queen. Okay? You're doing lots of things. Your focus is totally divided all the time, but you're not doing things to your full potential. You're in crisis management, and goals and plans are worthless because you don't prioritize. You're taking things as they come. And sometimes you can feel victimized or resentful. So you may have coworkers and family members that do this to you. They throw something in your lap and want it done right now. And you can feel like you don't have a sense of control, like you have to do it. And this can lead to some strain in relationships. Here it says shallow or broken relationships. So quadrant 3 and quadrant 1 are very similar because of the rush kind of get it all done aspect of it, because they're urgent. And for those of you who've done the achievement assessment that I created, you may recognize this as being some of the traits of the overachiever, right? The overachiever, the reason why they don't prioritize is because they believe they can get everything done and they're the only ones that can do it. And so begin to think about that. Quadrant 4, these are things that are not important and not urgent. Okay. Quadrant 4 is about trivial things, busy work. You don't really care about these things. They're just things there that kind of waste your time. There are also things that you might enjoy doing that just kind of waste your time. So social media, Facebook, reading reading tweets. So they're not important and they're not urgent, but they're things that can still take up quite a bit of time. So it's really important to recognize when these things go from being just enjoyable activities to time wasters. And the results can be, for folks who live in quadrant 4, totally responsibility. They may slack on their work, become dependent on others. They may lose their jobs. And so you don't want to live in quadrant 4. And you want to recognize when things are quadrant 4 activities. Okay. So I skipped a quadrant, and that's quadrant 2. Now in quadrant 2, there's no urgency to these activities, but they're important. And so let's talk about that. Quadrant 2 activities are going to be activities that involve planning. They involve preventative actions. And because they are planned actions, this is going to be the quadrant of productivity. Okay, this is going to be the quadrant of quality activities. And so within these activities, you're actually creating a world where you're getting things done and getting them done on time. You're focusing on things that are high priority first, and things that are lower priority, you're putting them lower on your list. So you have less resentment. And in this quadrant, you're relationship building because you're creating boundaries for the people around you, whether it be your clients or patients or colleagues. You're building boundaries. And so they know the boundaries. When people know the boundaries, meaning you created you created a plan and communicated the information about the boundaries, then you have less regrets because people know where you stand and you know where they stand. Now, because you're not completely hair on fire trying to get things done, you can also have the time to recognize new opportunities. And so you can see where your time can be well spent on other things. And so what does this result in? Greater vision, better perspective, balance, greater discipline. You feel like you're in control and there are fewer crises. Not only that, because of the ability to control your life, you also have recreation. You also have downtime. You also have the ability to see beyond what is right now. And you have greater perspective of the big picture. And so you want to live in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is all about striving. Okay? This is where high achievers live, in quadrant 2. Okay? They have less stress. They are less likely to burn out. They are better able at managing situations before they get to crisis mode. Now, there are times there are going to be emergencies, there are going to be crises, but they're going to try to manage their lives as best as they can so that that's not an often occurrence. And so quadrant 2 is the quadrant of productivity. Things are important to you, but you're not in an urgent, high stress situation. You're managing your life. You're managing your work. You're managing your family. You're managing your health. You're managing your business, managing your career, right? And so quadrant 2 is the quadrant of wellness. So what is your time worth? It depends on what you choose to do with it. When you're living in higher levels of awareness, so 4 and above, then you're striving for quadrant 2. You're looking at how can I move these activities into quadrant 2? Yes, you may want to help your family out. You may want to help a family member out with something, but how can you create a boundary so it's quadrant 2? Yes, you may want to um, spend time on Facebook, just leisurely on Facebook. But how can you make that a worthwhile endeavor instead of a time waster? And that may be that you're scheduling your time, your Facebook time, your social media time, your recreational time appropriately, so it's not wasting your time. The whole point is to be in control. And so you want to control what you do with your time. You want to control who affects your time. So clients, patients, friends, family, coworkers, colleagues. And you want to control how you view your time. Because when you're living in quadrant 2, you don't see that you don't think you don't have enough time to do the things that you want to do. You begin to see that you have time for all the people, things, and activities that you value. And when you put the things that you value first, you prioritize the things that are truly important, then you're able to make time for other things that are lesser importance. So put in your big rocks first. I know you've probably heard this before. Put in the big rocks first, then the little rocks, then the sand. And then you'll have space for everything. And it'll decrease resentment, that'll decrease regret, decrease anxiety, and make you enjoy your life more. Right? And you'll find time for all the things that are important to you. So live in quadrant 2. All right, for next week, I want you to begin to identify which quadrant your activities are in. What quadrant do you live in? Do you live kind of halfway in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, and that's where all your time is going? Time is going to other people and putting out fires? Or are you living in quadrant 2 most days, but sometimes you find yourself kind of going over in quadrant 1? I want you to identify those. Number 2, what simple task can you do daily towards your goal that will put you in quadrant 2? All right, so you have a new goal that you're working on, and in order for your new goal to begin to be fulfilling and at least and be able to fit into your schedule, it needs to be a quadrant 2 activity. You want it to be important. You want to give it that importance, but not do things that are urgent, that are making you stressed about your particular goal. So think of a simple task that you could do towards your goal that will be quadrant 2, quality and high priority. And 3, I want you to go ahead and schedule a call to action with me. You get 2 of those calls this month. And so these are going to be some high yield coaching calls. I'm really excited. And so go ahead and schedule your first one with me. Now, if you haven't scheduled your goal setting call yet, you need to do that. Make sure you set your goal setting call. And of course, take time to enjoy your life. You only get one. Make the most of it. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. To your success and always. This has been Crystal Harris. Have a wonderful day.